morning, class. Today we're going to talk about musical instruments. Specifically, we're going to speak about what the instruments are named, the name of the instruments, how the sound is created on the instrument, and how we categorize the instrument based on the method of producing the sound. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the instruments. Here's the first one. Does anyone know the name of this instrument? Andrew? Flute. Very good. Let's write that on the board. Flute. I'm just going to play a few notes on it for you. Okay, flute.
Cool.
Second instrument here. Anyone know the name of this instrument? Arm?
Guitar.
Right. This is a 6-string acoustic guitar. And I'm going to do the same thing, play a few notes for you here. Guitar. And finally, this instrument right here. Does anybody know the name of it? Shelley?
Drums.
These are drums specifically, they're called bongos. So what I'm going to do is show you the sounds these make. Okay? The bongos. Now, let's come back to the flute. Andrew, you knew the name of the flute. How did I create that sound on the flute? What did I do that created the sound?
You blew air into it.
Exactly. I blew air into it. And how about the guitar? Lauren?
You used your fingers?
I did. I used my fingers. I plucked it, but what was creating the sound on the instrument besides my fingers?
The strings?
The strings. So that instrument, the sound is created with the strings, plucking the strings. And finally, the bongos. How did I create the sound on the bongos?
You hit it with your hand?
I did. I hit it, or we say strike the instrument, or striking the instrument. Okay, so we have 3 different instruments, 3 very different instruments, different sounds. And you said the flute, I blew into it, so I used air, actually blew into the instrument to create the sound. And the guitar, I plucked the strings, or struck them. You can sort of say the same thing. And we would strike the bongos to create the sound on that. The 3 categories that we put that into, or put the instruments into, based on the method. If you're blowing in air into the instrument, we call that a wind instrument. The strings, pretty simple. You're plucking the strings, or playing the strings. The string vibrate, create the sound. So we call that a string instrument. And finally, the bongos. We strike the bongos. Sometimes you'll use a mallet, or you'll use a stick, or some other type, form of something to actually strike it, beyond your hand. And this is probably the most complicated name, called percussion. And that essentially means you're striking the instrument. In this case, it's called a drum head that is on top of the instrument. You strike it, and as you strike it, the head vibrates, and that creates the sound. Okay? Not sure? How little?